Video game boss fights, usually a fun one-to-one encounter with a strong enemy used as a milestone to test your strengths using everything you've learned up until that point. And for Souls-like turn-based RPGs and Metrovanias alike, bosses are one of the funnest experiences you can have on the game, and once you beat them you get an immediate sense of accomplishment, especially from soft games. But unfortunately some are annoying and unsatisfying, while others have you questioning why you're even wasting your time on them, like spending hours on a boss and still having no clue on how to beat them. And by the way, this isn't a worst boss list, this is the most annoying because my worst boss list would look a lot different. There are just bosses that are purely annoying, but they can, not saying will, be a fun experience. So without further ado, let's start. At my number 10 spot is Absolute Radiance from Hollow Knight. The Absolute Radiance isn't a bad fight in the slightest, it's visually appealing to look at, and the boss is a perfect balance of difficult, unlike other boss battles that we'll get to later in the video. No, my concern with this fight is the sheer will, determination, and waste of time to get here. I'm not talking about the normal Radiance boss fight, that one's easy enough, I guess. Absolute Radiance requires you to fight 41 bosses in a row prior to this final fight, and you cannot die. There are no save points. And the two fights prior to Absolute Radiance are extremely difficult, and you'll probably die on them first before dying on the final boss, which, if you're gonna die on them and then die on the final boss, it's such a painful experience. And fighting all those 41 bosses can take around 40-50 minutes, so if you die on Absolute Radiance, you have to restart again, and then again, because you're gonna die again and again, and now not only have you wasted your time, but you are also sacrificing your sanity to fight this dumbass bug woman god. And now if we talk about the fight itself, it's not really annoying in nature. You'll probably feel extremely nervous and your palms will start sweating like crazy, which can definitely affect your performance. There's so many things that pop up on the screen that you really have to look out for, just multiple things coming at you at once. And this platform section where he's out of the view and just shoots beams of death from above is probably one of the most nerve-wracking things you could ever experience. It's awful. He's arguably one of the hardest bosses in Hollow Knight. I still believe Pure Vessel is harder, but this fight takes so much to get to while also being extremely anxious the entire fight, making it a huge burden if you do lose. Overall, I really do love this fight and enjoy Hollow Knight in general, but I cannot lie to you, I was extremely annoyed when I kept getting to him and kept getting to him repeatedly because I kept dying. It was really excruciating. Well, coming into our number 9 spot, it is unfortunately the Ancient Dragon from Dark Souls 2. I say unfortunately because this is one of the most aesthetically pleasing bosses in terms of where the arena is, being located on a plateau in a land of dragons, and compared to the rest of Dark Souls 2, this place looks beautiful and that background is just gorgeous. Even the boss looks really cool, probably being the largest dragon from all the FromSoft titles. And there really is no point in fighting this guy. The only good thing is that he's completely optional, but if you do want to fight him, all you receive is a Soul of Giant and a Petrified Dragon Bone, which it's been a very long time since I played this game. I'm not sure if that's good or not. But the reason this fight is annoying as hell to fight is because he reuses the same 2-3 moves and they all do an insane amount of damage, literally half of your HP worth of damage. All he does is stop, shoot fire, and then shoot fire from the air, and this move particularly is what makes the fight repetitive and just a nuisance. Because once he starts shooting from the air, you have to run no matter what. There's nothing you can do, you can't block or fight back. This man just spreads almost the entire arena with fire and hope to God that you can make it to the outskirts in time, or else 50% of your health is gone. Plus his HP pool is ridiculous. You can obviously get good weapons that help with this, but I remember fighting him and it took such a long and painful time. I do really wish this guy had more movesets and maybe wasn't so stale with his attacks, as he's a really cool boss with an amazing arena, but nothing can be done. He's just a big floating flame-throwing reptile. And so going into our number 8 spot, we have a boss that I despise with every fiber of my body and is arguably the only lackluster boss in this game, which is Micolash, Host of the Nightmare. This fight is the equivalent to chasing a lizard that can talk, and as he's running away he's saying the dumbest shit imaginable, all the while skeletons are trying to stab you, and basically repeat this like 3 or 4 times. I don't want to remember this. I'm sorry, I hated this so much. This fight essentially is one big game of tag, but it's a Souls game. I don't want to play tag with some dude with a birdcage on his head. I want to pulverize him in cold blood like every other boss. And yeah, you do trap him in a room periodically, and this is your opportunity to actually fight him while he summons skeletons. So this boss is basically like a gank fight, but a maze and a dude that never shuts up. It's literally a nightmare, hence the name. I would have put this guy lower on the list because he's genuinely an annoying piece of shit, but I don't think a single person actually enjoyed this boss battle. At least I hope nobody did. But I put him here because he's relatively easy, and you really only have to fight this guy like 2 or 3 times to beat him, so it's not like you have to keep chasing him through an endless maze just to die again. Micolash not only is a headache, but he's just an awfully designed boss, at least from a Souls perspective. I don't know who thought that chasing a guy down while skeletons try poking you through a maze is a good decision. Anyways, that's it for Micolash. Annoying, stupid, and all the above, so let's go to our number 7 spot, which is Duke Fishron from from Terraria, and I genuinely do love this fight, but you have to have some tism in order to beat him. He's basically a shark on crack that's extremely fast and gets faster as the fight progresses, spawning shark projectiles and sharknadoes that come out of nowhere. I would say one of the biggest reasons Duke Fishron is as annoying as he is because of the luck involved, as his movements and summoning can be extremely unpredictable. And his third phase is just complete pandemonium, with Fishron potentially being on every drug imaginable, throwing so much random shit at you while spawning tornadoes from thin air, and he's coming at you like a bullet train. Most people wait to fight him after they have beaten the game in order to get the final tier gear loot to take him on, but you can fight him beforehand and it makes it 100 times harder. This fight can definitely be fun if you get lucky enough, but other times it can be almost unfair as it feels like a bunch of sporadic movements and you almost have to have Sharingan eyes in order to catch everything, or else it's GG's. Plus, to summon this guy you need a truffle worm, and you have to go all the way underground to a glowing mushroom biome to catch him, and he can be pretty rare sometimes, so essentially you have to pay a fee to get mauled by a shark on meth. Either way, I love this boss, his design, his loot, and he is optional, so you don't have to beat this guy in order to win the game or anything, so he gets a pass. W Dick Fishron. So going into our number 6 spot, we have Dr. Kahl's robot, and you know I had to add a boss from Cuphead on this list. There are some bosses in Cuphead that are annoying, but this one did genuinely take me off with this dumbass flying robot. Like, actually, why is there so much shit on the screen? These bombs chase you around for most of the fight while the guy is shooting lasers at you and pulls up a magnet from time to time to suck you in, plus his hand that shoots blue little balls that you have to avoid. His first phase consists of attacking his heart that pokes out in the middle of his chest, which is a pretty small hitbox, especially since you have to constantly be moving. And his second phase is pretty easy. He just moves his head around in a rectangle around your screen, but there are those annoying bombs that home in on you, but you can shoot them down while also attacking his head every chance you can get. And his last phase is just the worst. Remember when I said Duke Fishron is on crack? Well, yeah, this guy is on bath salts and blueberry carts. Why is he shooting so many projectiles? It's like playing Flappy Bird, but your screen is filled with red and blue shits. Like, it's just frustrating. This part of the fight is genuinely difficult, as you have to recognize the patterns of the red and blue orbs while also avoiding the electrical barriers, which sometimes is just impossible. I wouldn't really say there's luck involved in this fight. Maybe the last phase requires a tad bit, but it's just mostly muscle memory and repetition. But this fight is really mostly about endurance, as the first phase can take away a lot of your health, and if you do not have enough for his final phase, you should probably just restart and try again. And now coming into our number 5 spot, we have Seymour Flux. What a terrifying boss. This fight when I was younger pissed me off. It really does put your skills to the test, but damn, does it feel unfair sometimes. Whenever this guy does cross cleave, he kills all of your team members and you have to heal them again, which just sucks. Why are you making a move that one-shots my entire team? And also in the original PS2, you couldn't skip the cutscene, so if you were trying your ass off trying to beat this guy, you'd have to watch the same doohickey over and over again like it's some form of torture. This fight probably isn't as hard as other Final Fantasy fights I can think of, but usually when you get to this boss you are under leveled and you have to most of the times grind somewhere else in order to get strong enough to beat him. He's not a bad boss fight in the slightest, but just ticks me off with his moveset, forcing you to play mostly defensive, as he can turn your party members into zombies while also healing himself, which just makes it worse. He can also straight up banish your summons out of nowhere and can also remove your buffs, plus his voice lines and the fact that he keeps coming back in the story. And did I mention that dumbass cutscene that you couldn't skip? Yeah, I don't really like this fight. Maybe the experience is subjective as other people were more prepared for this fight, unlike I was, but it's coming in at my number 5 spot. And the fight we all know and love coming in at our number 4 spot is the Bed of Chaos. If you know, I feel bad for you too. I honestly thought of putting this guy lower in my list because he's actually a shit stain of a boss, but I had to reconsider and not let my hatred for this basement dweller get the best of me. Bed of Chaos by all means is the worst boss on this list with his irregular approach of fighting, and the gimmick of this boss doesn't really suit the Dark Souls engine at all. For those of you who aren't familiar or it's just been a very long time since you played, the boss consists of you breaking 2 orbs, each located in the opposite corners of the arena, and then killing the bug that sits within the core. The first orb is really easy to get to. He does swing with his long arms and does a hefty amount of damage, but trust me, that's only the beginning. Once you break the first orb, you are forced to break the other one all the way on the other side, but this time the floor is breaking, he's swinging more furiously, and you have to be precise with your running and dodging, because if he hits you on your run to the second orb, you are as good as dead. He's just gonna boot you off to the abyss, and you're gonna have to restart again. Maybe there's a definitive way to beat this guy, probably a certain route you have to go through, and if there is someone who knows that route, I solemnly feel bad for you. And did I tell you about the long run back? This run back takes so long and you are gonna have to run back. There's no way you can beat this guy in your first try, so good luck running over a minute each time you have to attempt this boss. and you're forced to run over fire on the run back, so you're guaranteed to take some sort of damage unless you want to take the long route to avoid the lava, which takes 2 minutes this time, so yeah, not worth it. And even after you reach the core, you can still die. The little bug can light the chamber on fire, doing a lot of damage. Good thing that you can just one-shot this guy and finally be finished with this god-awful boss fight. This is no one's favorite boss fight. It's definitely the worst Dark Souls 1 boss, and probably the worst boss throughout all of the games. Thankfully, I can stop talking about him. Coming into our number 3 spot, we have Barthandelus 2 from Final Fantasy XIII. Final Fantasy XIII had a lot of gremlins. This game can be way too hard for no reason sometimes, but Barthandelus 2 truly did take the cake for the most frustrating boss, in my experience. The first phase is extremely easy, but as all Final Fantasy boss fights go, the dude becomes some ethereal god, and now you don't have any chance, like Mr. Barthandelus here. When he puts his mask on during the fight, he becomes a lot more problematic. He gets way too aggressive, and in this fight you need to severely spam change your paradigms in order to have a chance on beating this guy. And you need to have the right setup with good rhythm going. The most important thing you need is to be leveled appropriately, because if you aren't, there is no point in even trying this boss. He uses a move called Apoptosis that removes all of his debuffs and removes all of your buffs, which makes the fight 10 times more aggravating because all your synergists and saboteurs' hard work fell down the drain. The reason why this fight is so low on the list is because there's so much trial and error in order to beat this guy. If one team formation doesn't work, then you'd have to try another. And plus, if you're underleveled, then you'd be forced to farm the enemies on the previous path, and let me tell you, it's not really that fun, especially that shield guy. This fight is mostly about endurance, so it's really determined on how well you can buff your party, debuff the boss, and all the while healing and attacking to defeat this guy. He's still generally a good boss fight. It does require some intensive knowledge on the mechanics of the game in order to beat this guy, but most people don't want to get extremely technical in order to beat a boss, and this guy you have to get almost scientific with. And shout out Final Fantasy XIII, holds a very special place in my heart. A lot of people dislike it, but that's what it is. Anyways, going into our number 2. Elizabeth from Persona 3 is one of those fights that don't really make sense. It's so hard that you kind of start scratching your head thinking if it's even possible. I know we've all felt that before. And really, in order to beat her, you have to have Batman levels of prep time, meeting high level personas, maxed out social links, and certain items stacked up to nullify debuffs, and a lot of them, because this fight can take anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes, and if you have an unfortunate setup, it can take an even longer time. And she's annoying for the fact that she spams debuffs the entire time over an extended period of time, and the AI is so random that she uses the Raihan, or whatever the hell it's called, and completely heals herself back up, which feels like missing the bus on your finals exam. And you can't really make mistakes or else it'll be game over. You have to be on your toes, watch for her resistance shifting, manage your SP efficiently, and maybe hit a prayer or two. Thank God this fight is optional, because not everyone has maxed their social links or even gotten close to leveling up their personas to the right amount, because it would be really bad if that was the case. And I completely forgot to mention, in this fight you have to fight just yourself. Usually in Persona it consists of a team of 3, which makes it obviously easier to defeat enemies, but Elizabeth doesn't allow it, and you have to fight one-on-one, just you and her. How fun. She's not a horrible boss, just pretty tedious, and it's a nice little Easter egg to say the least. But now we are going to talk about our number 1 guy for the most annoying boss. Yeah, it has to be Yiazmat from Final Fantasy XII, and I don't even think anyone else compares. This fight is really something else. Look at his health bar. You have to completely drain the top bar in order to remove one of the chunks from the bottom health bar. This guy has over 50 million health, and the best part is how long this fight can take. For some people it's taken 21 hours, for most it's taken 12 to 16 hours, and for better equipped players with higher levels, it can take around 6 hours, which is just absolutely absurd. On the original PS2 for the first release of the game, there wasn't a 4x speed option, so you had to sit there and potentially grind this for over 16 hours, making it a nightmare for normal people and basically impossible for those who were employed. Thankfully, Square Enix made it easy so you could save during the fight. He would heal up a little bit when you got back, but that's better than trying to fight him all in one sitting, which would be a nightmare. And again, with these borderline impossible bosses, they are optional, because if I had to beat a boss with 50 million health to beat a game, I would uninstall the game immediately. And no, I have never attempted this boss, and I probably wouldn't have the sanity to do so. I respect those who have, especially in the original release of the game where there was no 4x speed. That is some real dedication right there. But that's really about it for my list. I know there are other fights like Absolute Virtue and Pandemonium Warden that take a long time, but I haven't done research on them, so maybe that's a video for another time. Anyways, did you guys like the list? Did you not? Please let me know down in the comment section. And I didn't include every single boss in the entire world because I have not played every single game in the entire world. So maybe when my catalog expands, I can definitely broaden my scope and I could make this video again in the future, but these are only the fights that I've personally experienced, except Yiazmat, because I just heard that guy was really hard. I've played Final Fantasy 12, but I just haven't fought him because I didn't want to. So if there are bosses I missed, please let me know. I would love to include them on a future video. And please subscribe if you watched all the way to this point. I heavily appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. And don't forget to drink water, eat fruits, vegetables, watch your mental health, and get a job if you can. I know it's scary, but it's a very unfortunate world we live in. So yeah. Anyways, bye.